He also said, "This is what the kingdom of God is like. A man scatters seed on the ground. Night and day, whether he sleeps or gets up, the seed sprouts and grows, though he does not know how. All by itself, the soil produces grain. First the stalk, then the head, then the full kernel in the head. As soon as the grain is ripe, he puts the sickle to it, because the harvest has come." Again, he said, "What shall we say the kingdom of God is like? Or what parable shall we use to describe it? It is like a mustard seed, which is the smallest of all seeds on earth. Yet when planted, it grows and becomes the largest of all garden plants, with such big branches that the birds can perch in its shade." With many similar parables, Jesus spoke the word to them, as much as they could understand. He did not say anything to them without using a parable. But when he was alone with his own disciples, he explained everything.
Can contradictions lead to order in our perception of the world? Let's take a look at the world around us. Cosmic order, the laws of physics, Darwin's theory of evolution. All these might seem contradictory to our spiritual understanding of the world. Yet God, in His infinite wisdom, uses these very elements to reveal His kingdom to us. Consider the prophet Ezekiel, who describes God as a gardener grafting a young twig on a high mountain in Israel. Such an unassuming twig, yet over time it becomes a mighty tree, providing shelter to many creatures. Doesn't this sound absurd in a world that values great achievements and spectacular results? God chooses something so small and insignificant to demonstrate His power. It's a bit like trying to understand the theory of relativity by watching children playing in a sandbox. The laws of physics are the same in all frames of reference. You get hit on the head with a shovel and it swells up. The speed of light in a vacuum is constant, no matter how fast you put a bucket on your head and suck the air out. Time and space are not absolute, even when you're running fast. Energy and mass can convert into each other. Just pour water on the sand and pack it well with the shovel before placing the bucket upside down. Yes, this is our sandbox of life. It all makes sense, but only when we look at it from the right perspective. I hope Einstein enthusiasts won't take offense. Yes, it's obvious that, contrary to many opinions, God's works are also expressed in scientific achievements. Psalm 92 speaks of the joy in God's works. The righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will grow like a cedar of Lebanon. These are beautiful images, but let's think. Who has time to look at palms and cedars in our busy world? People rush to work, to meetings, check news on their phones, and God says, "Look at the tree." Maybe that's the secret. Maybe instead of rushing, we should stop for a moment to notice these small, yet incredibly significant signs of God's presence. The Apostle Paul writes in the second letter to the Corinthians, "For we know that while we are at home in the body, we are away from the Lord." Do these words make you sad or comfort you? We live here on earth, we strive, we struggle, and Paul tells us that it's only temporary, that our real life is elsewhere. It's like we're playing a game whose rules we don't fully understand, but we believe the prize awaits us at the end of the game. And what if we're not playing? What if our small daily actions are already part of that great reward? And finally, Jesus and his parable in the Gospel according to St. Mark. The parable of the seed that grows by itself without our involvement. The kingdom of God is like a man who scatters seed on the ground. We can sow, But it is God who makes the seed grow. Maybe it's time to stop trying so hard to control everything around us. Maybe it's time to trust that God knows what He's doing, even if we don't understand it. As the 55th chapter of Isaiah says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways." The kingdom of God is a reality that permeates time and space, possessing an eternal dimension and is subject to God. It is present on earth, though subject to temporal limitations, yet it has power coming from God, power that is independent of us. Imagine that God works through the laws of physics, through evolution, through every seed that sprouts. Imagine that every action we take, every small decision, is part of His grand plan. Isn't this exciting? Instead of worrying about what tomorrow will bring, we can trust that God is already in control. Maybe we should stop trying to understand everything in our human way and start seeing God's work in our lives. Maybe what seems random and chaotic to us is actually part of a larger perfect plan. Let our lives be a testimony to God's presence, both visible and invisible. Let our hearts be open to God's work and our hands ready to sow seeds of love and justice. Maybe it's time to stop asking why and start asking, how can I help? Maybe it's time to stop searching for meaning where there is none and start creating meaning where God has sent us. May God bless us.